Welcome to Tracking the Week. On Monday, the current phase of the lockdown ease was extended by 4 weeks with some modifications. This followed President Muhammadu Buhari's approval of recommendations submitted to him by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in its fifth interim report on Monday. Chairman of the task force and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, disclosed this at a briefing in Abuja, saying that the extension takes effect from Tuesday. He said government will be maintaining the current phase of the national response for another 4 weeks, in line with modifications to be expatiated by the national coordinator, permission of movement across state borders, only outside curfew hours with effect from the 1st of July 2020. Enforcement of laws around non-pharmaceutical interventions by state, in particular the use of face masks in public places, safe reopening of schools to allow students and graduates in classes resume in person in preparation for examinations, and safe reopening of domestic aviation services as soon as practicable. Also on Monday, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 said the mortality rate of the coronavirus pandemic is low in Nigeria when compared to other countries with similar climatic characteristics due to the age bracket of most of those infected by the virus. Chairman of the task force and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, gave the indication after he led his team to brief President Muhammadu Buhari on the progress of the national response to the pandemic at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, on Monday.
The President is quite satisfied with what the task force is doing, and he is also, like you know, the champion of COVID-19 in the West African sub-region. So he gets his information too from other sources as to what is happening.
On Tuesday, the session by the Joint National Assembly Committee on Labour with the Minister of State for Labour, Festus Keyamo, ended on a dramatic note as the minister and lawmakers engaged in a shouting match over areas of conflict. The whole controversy was on the 52 billion naira budgeted for the recruitment of 774,000 Nigerians under the National Directorate of Employment (NDE), which the committee seems unconvinced that it is in control of. Keyamo had alleged that some of the senators were out to hijack the entire exercise, with a counter-accusation aimed at the minister. At the end of the heated session, both the committee and the minister clarified on the contending issues.
From this side, I want to move. I don't know if Musa apologized to this city. He has been most apologized by directing us, and that apology to do it will know the appropriate executive professional. Before started by I want Nigerian people. You know, we are upset Nigerian people. We are not hiding anything. So you need to apologize.
If he is a fool, you that you are listening should not be a fool. The Director General of NDE is here. Yesterday, he inaugurated 20-man committee. And the NDE man said he's only aware of 8 people. But 20 people have been inaugurated. How did he come about the remaining 12?
I apologize for saying that we should go and hear from the Nigerian people, for insisting that we should go and hear from the Nigerian people. When I insisted, I did not insult anybody. I insisted.
The federal government on Wednesday increased the pump price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, from between 140 naira 80 kobo to 143 naira 80 kobo per litre. The Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency announced the increment in a statement issued by its Executive Secretary Abdulkadir Saidu on Wednesday. After a review of the prevailing market fundamentals in the month of June, and considering marketers' realistic operating cost, as much as practicable, the agency announced a new PMS pump price band of 140 naira 80 kobo to 143 naira 80 kobo per litre for the month of July 2020. The statement read, "All marketers were advised to operate within the indicative prices as advised by the PPPRA. In April, the federal government had announced a reduction of the petrol pump price to 123 naira 50 kobo per litre. Still on Wednesday, Anambra South Senator Ifeanyi Ubah described as a bad display of rascality the conduct of the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, at a session organized by a Joint National Assembly Committee on Tuesday. Addressing Senate correspondent on the widely publicized incident during the session of the Joint Committees on Labor and Employment, the senator insisted it was the right of the parliament to be carried along on how employment opportunities are distributed to their constituents.
It is something worthwhile for us to request to know how the distribution of employment to Nigerians and to those who we are representing is handled by an appointee of the executive who is also not even the substantive minister.
On Thursday, President Muhammadu Buhari approved renewal of the appointment of 12 non-Korean ambassadors, assuring Nigerians of fairness in representation and inclusiveness in all matters of governance. The assurance from the president became necessary following recent complaint after announcement of 41 non-Korean ambassadors that some states were not captured. Malam Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, said the renewal of the appointment followed a performance evaluation which necessitated an approval for continuation in office of the ambassadors, and the President will still decide if they will remain in their current postings. Still on Thursday, the federal government was urged to hand over refineries in the country to the private sector for it to function optimally. An energy expert, Dr. Sam Ibiyemi, made a call in an interview while reacting to the increase in the pump price of petrol. Dr. Ibiyemi said until government replicate the Nigerian liquefied natural gas model in the petroleum sector, where government retains 49% equity and private sector 51%, the petroleum sector will not evolve and price of PMS will continue to be a controversial issue among stakeholders. On Friday, the remains of the Ondo State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Wahab Adegbenro, was laid to rest according to Islamic rite. Late Adegbenro was buried in his hometown, Ilaramoki, in the federal local government area of Ondo State. The burial rites were performed by a team of Muslim clerics led by the chief imam of Akure, Abdulhakim Akorede. In his words of admonition at the burial, Akorede described the late Adegbenro as a selfless, kind-hearted and hard-working man. All measures put in place to ensure social distancing protocol were ignored as families and friends clustered around the grave amid tears and wails to have a glimpse of the body of late Dr. Wahab as it was being lowered into the grave by health officials who were clad in personal protective equipment. The Lagos State government on Friday announced the reopening of schools for students in transitional classes from August 3. The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made this known in a televised press briefing on Friday.